Well, guys, my high definition camera showed up today, along with my USB microphone. So, that means I'm going to get this thing set up and test it out and give you guys a high definition video and high quality audio. So, yay, I'm moving up in the world. I'm almost feeling professional. All right. I'm just going to tag this onto the video. I guess when you see you next, it'll be up and running.
Hi guys, how are you doing? JJ Stewart here. I am trying out my new camera and my new microphone, and because I can't get any glare off my glasses, I'm going to try to do this without my glasses on. So forgive me if I trip and fall. Anyway, today's video is on publishing erotica for men versus for women. I've looked all over YouTube and I haven't found a single thing about publishing erotica other than people who say I publish erotica. So I want to give some more hints and tips for people who want to get into this, who want to try it out. Maybe you're like me and you're not looking at a career at publishing erotica, but you want to, kind of test the waters of self-publishing and see if you can, if it's for you. So first of all, I've done this before in a different video, but I'll do a quick recap. We have to understand the rules of erotica. Now I'm assuming here that you're publishing on Amazon and you're going to be doing an ebook. So I've gone ahead and I have blazed a trail along with thousands of other people, and these are some of the rules you need to remember as a new person just starting out. So, Erotica Rules. Number one rule, no underage characters. Do not be stupid and have children having sex in your stories. You'll get banned. Your story will not be published. You might have some policemen show up at your house, seizing your computers. It's a very serious crime. So don't even mess with kids in any erotica story. Secondly, there's no sex with animals, so bestiality, or dead people, or celebrities. Again, no children and no family members. So no mothers and sons, no dads and daughters, no brothers on brothers and sisters on sisters. Just don't. No. Also, no forced sex, rape, or violent sex or sexual brutality. Those things are frowned upon, and people who get off on reading that need to see a doctor. Along the same lines, there's no non-consensual sex. So no hypnotizing. There's a lot of people who like to write hypnotism stories. No drugs, mind control type of things where a woman or a man is forced to do something that they normally would be against because another character has, magically controlled them. So don't do that. If you do and go against my advice, Amazon will dungeon your work, refuse to publish it even, and if you keep on offending, they will give you the ultimate ban hammer and terminate your account. You'll never be able to publish with them again. And don't even think about sneaking around that and trying to set up another account, because they will know as soon as you try to get paid that you're the same person who was banned before. This has happened to some people I've read about where they skirted the rules. They tried to publish again, change their titles. They got caught. They lost all the royalties and they didn't get paid and they were banned again. So also, because that's not enough rules, also on your covers, remember, you can't have any swearing, no words like breeding, impregnation, incest in the title. You can't have any nudity, so no naked people on your cover, or sexual innuendos. That is like, cute blonde girl licking on a lollipop or something like that. I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you what they are. And if you want to publish without a lot of headaches and hassles, you follow this advice. So, what is the Amazon dungeon? When you hear about this term, people often ask, what does it mean to have your work dungeoned? It basically means that anything you publish will not show up in any search engines or be suggested in an also read. After your book's been on for a while and you've had some people who've bought and read it, other people who browse will see your title and possibly some suggestions. Well, if your book is dungeoned, you won't be there. You won't have any exposure. You won't be able to do any promotions with it. Basically, your story slowly withers away like someone in the dungeon, forgotten until they die. Now, some people get around the dungeon thing by publishing what's called Pseudo Incest, or PI. And this is stories that's sort of like incest, but it's between a stepbrother, a stepsister, or a stepfather and a stepdaughter. They're not related. Also, another thing that gets your book dungeoned is any kind of impregnation fetishes. Breeding porn basically will get you dungeoned. And people get around that by saying, using words like unprotected or bareback and whatnot. But you are treading on thin ice when you do this, because yes, technically you're not breaking the rules, but you're breaking the rules. And some authors, do well for a while, and then all of a sudden their whole catalog is blocked, and it can be devastating. You get warnings on your account, and if you're a repeat offender, you can just one day wake up and find out that you can no longer ever publish again on Amazon. Don't skate on thin ice, especially if you're new at this. You want to keep your nose clean. You want to keep your account in good standing, and so don't take these kind of risks. So, with all that bad stuff out of the way, let's get to the good stuff. So, what is erotica? Well, basically, erotica is fiction meant to stimulate the reader's mind and kind of carry them into a fantasy world. Most erotica is meant or designed to be read, how do I say this, one-handed, if you know what I mean, as a stimulation aid. If you don't know what I mean, you probably shouldn't be watching this video. But yeah, it's basically pornography for the mind. Now, if you're going to be publishing erotica, there's several considerations you must make before putting pen on paper. Number one, what kink are you going to target? Yeah, basic question. What are you going to write? You can't just write a whole bunch of everything. You need to specifically target a single kink if you want to have any chance of making sales. So what kind of kinks are there? Well, there's plenty. I haven't written that many. I've picked a couple that I like to write about, but there's gay erotic romance, there's shifter erotica, which is like a bear or a wolf turns into a man and makes love to a woman, never in bear form, always has to transform so you don't get in trouble. Paranormal, think about vampire sex. There's BDSM, there's the PI or pseudo incest, there's hot wives, there's cheating, spanking and discipline, first time virgins. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Now, why don't I just put all of those in one story? Because not everyone likes all those things. You want to find a kink that works for you and that has a niche. There could be 100 million shifter stories out there, and so why would you write another shifter? You look at the Amazon Top 100, you can see what the trends are, and don't write those. Write something that you think people will like that's not widely represented. I just told a story a few weeks ago about a new author who wrote gay romance and did exceptionally well. Why? Because there's a need for it. People want to buy it and read it, and there wasn't a lot of books, so she put out some really good, well-written stories with great covers, and made a truckload of money. I was really happy for her. Now, On the same note of picking a kink, don't just pick vanilla erotica, like, boy meets girl and have sex or something like that. Because general vanilla erotica doesn't sell well. People who read this, they want a certain itch to be scratched, if you know what I mean. A certain kink, and if you can produce that and write well and help them satisfy that desire they have to, you know what I mean. If you can write the stuff they like, they will keep buying it. So do that. Number 2, know your audience. So who is your audience? Well, it goes without saying that your audience should be geared towards adults, but are you going to target men? Are you going to target women? Transgender, gay or lesbian? It depends. Knowing your audience will determine how you write. For example, erotica geared towards female readers has more descriptive language and figurative speech. Generally, the writing is geared towards emotions, feeling. Sex is flowery, with shafts instead of cocks, and quivering lips instead of more vulgar language, I guess. I don't know how to say it any other way. Your intended audience determines your point of view. For women, you might write from a female's perspective, focusing more on her feelings and emotions during and after sex. If you're writing for men, then they don't care, so long as you can, paint a graphic picture in their mind. In general, women are aroused by feelings and touch and scent and so on. So be sure to include lots of sensory details in your story elements. Well, for men, sometimes they focus more on the power dynamic of sex. Men like to dominate and conquer, so in erotica geared towards men, the female character might be objectified more. She might, be more innocent, and it's that whole nervousness about it. She's afraid to try something with this well-endowed man, and, different points of view, different elements that you focus on, depending on if it's for a man or a woman, or male or female. Now remember, these are just generalities, so it's not always like that. There are women who like hardcore sex scenes. There are men who like flowery love romance scenes. This isn't cut in stone. This is just a general idea. Now, on the same note, length matters. One of the things you need to consider when you're going to publish is not only knowing your kink and your audience, but how long of a story do you want to write? Knowing the number of pages you have will determine how you plan and how you outline, and what you can add and what you should leave out of an erotic story. There's also financial considerations to be made, including whether to be in Kdp Select or not. Also, length of time it takes to write and produce a story. Obviously, the longer it is, the more effort and time it takes. Well, these are all things you need to consider. Now, what is Kdp Select? Kdp Select is a program that Amazon introduced. It's sort of like the Netflix for books. You basically pay a monthly fee to Amazon, and from that fee goes into a general pot, and everyone who has the subscription can borrow as many books as they want from books in that program. And the author gets paid on a per page basis. You might not know this, but when you borrow a book and you read it, say it's a 100-page book, if you read 50 pages, your little Kindle e-reader notifies Amazon that you've read only 50. This happens without you even knowing, and they use those numbers to determine how much to pay the author. Typically, you get paid about 0.0054 cents per page. So your 500 word 20-page short story will earn you about 10 cents if someone read all 20 pages. So as a result, most authors have pulled their short stories from Kdp Select and sold them in other places like Barnes and Nobles. But I'll tell you some considerations to decide if you're going to keep your your short story in KDP Select or not. Now, a short story is anywhere between 3,000 and 10,000 words. Appeals to readers who just want a quick read. I meant they have a specific kink they like, and they use your story as a stimulational aid. These stories typically lack character development and very much plot. It comes down to basically setting up a situation where two characters meet, or three or four, depending on what the story is, and letting them kind of get it on. Now, there are situations, if you're writing a series or a serial, where one book leads into another, and another. It's the same character, same kink, and you're basically just not rehashing it, but just continuing the story. Then you might consider putting your very first one in KDP Select, because then someone can borrow it, read it, and if they like it, they might search out the rest of the stories that you have, and then you can charge anywhere from 99 cents to $1.99 for your short story, and make sales that way. So consider your first short story as a lost leader if you put it in KDP Select, as a means to get attention and exposure and possibly lead to more sales. Next is the novella. This is my favorite type of erotica to write. These are anywhere between 10,000 and 25,000 words. You have a bit more character development, a bit more story. You have some stuff in between the scenes, if you know what I mean, where characters can talk and do things and reflect. It's not so much just one hardcore story. It has a bit more fluff and a bit more substance in it, I think. Yeah, if you plan well and you know the secrets to plotting an erotica story, which I will reveal in an upcoming video, you can produce a steady stream of novellas and bundle them, which is the key to making money in erotica, is not just one-offs, but writing series and then bundling them. So 5 or 6 books in a series, put them together as a mega package and selling them that way. And they also make great money on KDP Select, because you have 3 or 4 50-page novels. That's 200 pages being read if someone borrows it, which makes almost as much as a full sale if they just purchased it. So it starts becoming financially viable, I'd say, to bundle and put your novellas in KDP. And the last kind of novel is the full-blown novel. These are where you have full character development, full plots, story arcs. You might follow a 3-act structure. You have the villain. You might, it's everything a real novel in another genre has, except with more sex. So the downside, though, of writing these things, if you're new, is the time and effort to put into it. I mean, do you really want to write a 200-page story or novel, or 300 pages, and then find out that you have too many kinks in it, or your story falls flat, you have cardboard characters, and your book just doesn't sell? So a lot of this, I would say, advice is for people who have written a couple short stories and novellas, know kind of what they're doing, and want to tackle something bigger. Then the novel is definitely the way to go. I know personally of some authors who have made hundreds of thousands of dollars just from one novel. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that the woman in the States who started publishing last November has made over $100,000 already on 4 gay romance novels. It's just wow, good stuff. But that doesn't always happen. So what length should you write? I would recommend, if you're new, starting out with short stories just to learn the ropes. I think it's better to make mistakes writing short stories and kind of graduate into novellas. This gives you a chance to learn how to write the prose, learn how to write the different kinks in a way that people will like, and that takes time. So think of writing erotica as kind of graduating through school. You know, in kindergarten, the first thing you do is you finger paint and you scribble a lot. Eventually you can write stories like what you did last summer at band camp, kind of cute. And as you develop, you learn how to, you know, write and you know, do more complicated operations as you graduate through school. So it's kind of like the same thing for writing. Start out small, writing short stories under a pen name if you want, and they might flop, but don't be discouraged. Keep working at it. Keep, you know, fine-tuning your approach, your methods, until you find something that works for you. So trust me, your first couple published books, your first couple erotica books will probably suck. I've seen countless forum posts on Amazon where people saying, why is my book not selling? And then you go look at their book and you find out, oh my gosh, their cover is terrible. They have spelling mistakes, grammatical errors. The story's not compelling. I've even seen people, you know, insert political rants right in the middle of the erotica. It's like, what? That's not the place to, you know, to talk about politics. And then they wonder why their stuff's not selling. Yeah, a lot of times it's just boring vanilla sex or very little of anything that would make me want to buy it. Maybe their blurb's terrible. You know, the cover's boring. I can't read the story because it's written by, it's like it's written by a child. So I feel bad for these people, but you know, I'm going to try my best to help you not be one of those people. Another thing to remember, and this was told to me early when I started a couple years ago, is remember that your story will be published on the same day as thousands of other stories. It's like the beginning of the Boston Marathon. There would be a huge gaggle of books rushing from the start line, and they're all jogging together and they're bumping into each other, all trying to be number one. So basically your book is like one in a vast giant sea of other books. To get noticed takes time. It takes endurance to outrun the other books, you know, to keep going. Eventually you pull into the lead and you get noticed. And eventually once you get noticed, maybe people start cheering for you. And when they start cheering for you, they look for your book when it comes out, you know, and your next book and your next book. And you start basically a fan following. People like your kink. They like the way you write. And this all takes time. So don't expect your first book to be a huge hit. It's possible. I don't want to crush anyone's hopes, but chances are your first couple books are going to suck. So don't be discouraged. Take heart. I'm going to show you in the next video how to create a plot in a sellable erotica story. And yeah, just remember though, if you ever get famous and make a lot of money, send a little bit my way. All right. So that's it for today's video. I know it's kind of long, and I hope you like my new camera, my new setup, and yeah. I'll talk to you later. Have yourselves a great day.